Well, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un inviting South Korean President Moon Jae-in to Pyongyang for a meeting. Now, Kim's sister delivering the invitation today at a luncheon hosted by the South Korean president. Now, she is visiting the South as North Korean athletes take part in the Winter Olympics there. Meanwhile, Vice President Pence urging the international community to keep up the pressure on North Korea. Joining me now, security and foreign policy analyst James Carafano from the Carafano Foundation, is it?
Heritage Foundation.
Thank you, from the Heritage Foundation. So what did you make, first of all, because this was just such a sight to see the sister of Kim Jong-un, we have the picture, sitting so closely to Vice President Pence at the opening ceremonies. Do we have that picture? Can we put it up on the screen? So there she is, and there is Pence right off to her left, literally two shoulders away. Do you think the two exchanged words at all through interpreters, or probably not?
Well, there are no reports of that. You know, the images that come to my mind are Hitler at 1936 at the Olympics. And no,
yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah,
and
no,
Putin,
I agree with you.
No, and Putin at Sochi, you know, as he was planning the invasion of Ukraine, hosting the Sochi Games. And the reality is that some people go to the Olympics because they believe in the spirit of the Olympics and what it stands for.
Right.
And some people go there because they have a political agenda and they're trying to hide their abhorrent regimes and use the games to mask all that. And that's what's going on with North Korea.
It is unfortunate because when you see the games, you see all these countries, whether they are allies or foes, coming together, rooting for their team to get the gold. And you would hope if there's any chance ever of two, world leaders or delegates from other countries that are foes to maybe somehow try to bridge a gap here, this would be the perfect platform. Prior to the vice president's trip, he did hint at a possible meeting with North Korean delegates. The North Korean officials fired back saying there's no intention of a meeting. Do you think a meeting's still possible?
Yeah, look, I don't get me wrong. I think it's good the North Koreans went to the game because what this does is it actually, adds what we all, the serious people really know, which is we're not on an inevitable path to war. We never were. That's just hype, right? And so these kinds of things actually demonstrate that there's really no escalation going on here that's going to lead to something really horrific. So it's good for that. But the notion that this is some kind of a breakthrough or this is somehow a good thing, I want you to think about that. For every person sitting in the stands from North Korea that's cheering, that's well-fed, there's probably 100,000 people in a freezing prisoner camp somewhere who may have been born in that camp and will die in that camp, but who's never seen a television.
No, that is a great point. And we'll never watch a Winter Olympics or watch opening ceremonies. Meeting or no meeting, I mean, the bottom line is the only way to get North Korea to halt its nuclear weapons program is by ramping up the pressure through tougher sanctions. So you've got Russia at the games, right? You've got the United States at the game that needs to reel in Russia. I mean, where do we meet now when it comes to these meetings that the vice president is having over there, specifically with Japanese President Abe Shinzo? I mean, there are ways to perhaps form some sort of bridge. How does the Olympics maybe help that happen?
Well, I don't think much gets done at the Olympics. But the reality is the U.S. is in the driver's seat here. We have a strategy of what's called maximum pressure, nuclear deterrence, missile defense, strategic deterrence, heavy sanctioning. All that really limits the capacity of the North Koreans to grow their threat, while our capacity to defend against that threat increases. Our relationship with the key players are South Korea and Japan. That is absolutely rock solid. So quite honestly, the Chinese, the Russians, the North Koreans, they don't have a lot of play and give here. This is a regime that's going to be squeezed for a long time until it does something fundamentally different.
I got to ask you, I want to know your take. What do you make of former White House Chief of Staff Leon Panetta? He made some comments here on Fox today. I'm not sure if you heard about it with Neil Cavuto. Okay, so here's what he said. He basically believes that North and South Korea, and he was talking about the opening ceremonies at the Olympics, could be playing us when talking about their unity at the Olympics.
Look, I think he's an idiot. I mean, look, the South Koreans and the Americans and the Japanese are fundamentally on the same sheet of music because we all have the same concern. We have to protect our people from a dangerous regime. There's no white space between those three governments.
All right. Thank you very much for talking to us, James Carafano from the Heritage Foundation. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Kelly.
Israel launching its most intensive strike yet against Iranian forces in Syria after